of the downsides of having a golden retriever is I'm constantly finding my rags out in the middle of the yard because they have to carry things. Oh well, I'll get over it. Hey, are you the one that keeps carrying my rags out? You look guilty. Well, good morning. Welcome back to the shop. Had a little bit of an incident yesterday while I was working on the Cobra. If you saw the short that I produced yesterday, I was getting some work done underneath the nose, getting the body bolted up and adjusted and everything so I could do the final adjustments and get the doors and start working on the deck lid, which I have done. However, took about quite a few layers of skin off the index finger of my left hand. And a little bit of an incident, got it pinched while I was underneath the nose of the Cobra. So I'm going to take a few days off and let that heal because I don't want to lose my finger, and I'm also a musician, so it's kind of important that I maintain the integrity of that. It's pretty bad. It's going to take a while for it to heal, but it'll be fine. You just got to take care of that. But what I thought I would do in the meantime is I thought I would share with you a status update of everything in the shop. That way you know where we are, what we've got coming up, and so forth. Okay, what we're going to start with first is what I've spent the most time on the last couple of weeks, and that is Project Hurricane Cobra, my snake. Basically, what I've been doing here is I've been working on the door gaps, getting the doors to fit, which I'm about 60-70% there. Started the preliminary work on the deck lid, which I'm about 35 to 40% of the way there on that, and understand those percentages are indicating that they fit, not that the bodywork's done. Important distinction. So I'm going to continue on those. I've got to come in here on the hood, which is next, start trimming away, because as I noted many times before, the panels on this car are cut big, so you can allow a maximum amount of adjustment. I'm going to have to come in here and start trimming on all sides of this hood to get the gaps set right. The gaps in these two corners are pretty good, so I've got to get everything else associated with it. I've got my tape mark here to give me a rough idea of how much I need to take off on every side, and that's subject to adjustment. After further measurements, I have decided that I'm going to do everything I can to not use the hood scoop. Got it if I need it, but I don't want to use it because the slick look like this is what the Street Cobra is designed for. And that is the look that I'm going for. So I will put off making that decision for 100%, but I'm going to do everything I can to keep from doing that. Now, as far as the doors go, and please excuse my mess, I've been cleaning up and actually putting my tools up, which is desperately overdue to do. I've got some of the rubber sitting down here to see where the door gaps will fit in. But the door gaps are looking pretty good on these. I've got some areas where I've made errors and I'm going to have to come back in and do some filling. The trunk lid, I've got some more work to do on this top gap here. The gaps the rest of the way around are looking fairly good. It latches, and I've got the rubber in there as well. I've got some work to do on these corners. I haven't decided if I'm going to be able to smooth that out. Fill in a little bit here on either side. Probably a combination of both and meet in the middle is what I'm thinking on that, but it shouldn't be too difficult. That's in the bodywork phase of everything, so I've got to get everything done there. I've also noted that my rear end in the car is a little bit off center. No problem. I've got the panhard. It's just a panhard adjustment to get the rear end over just a little bit on that. I'll take care of that as well. This door right here is probably the best fitting one of the bunch so far. So I'm going to be connecting my door latches. I've got the metal necessary to mount the latch to the body, then bolt the ones into the doors and see if I can get them to latch. So that as well is going to be done. And of course, as you noted on one of my previous videos, I've got the side levers in place as well. I've got the area mocked up roughly where the nose splitter needs to go. There's the other side lever there. So all of that is good to go as far as getting everything fitted. We're getting very, very close to starting to work the body. My friend Brian over at Daily Brew Garage asked me how close I was to paint. Unfortunately, I am not as close as I would like to be. Still got a lot of fitting to do before I can actually start the final body work on it. And if you've done any kind of work like that, you know exactly how tedious and how long that takes. So that's going to be coming up as well. On the Deuce coupe, it has been sitting for a little bit because I've been working on the Cobra rather. The good news is I have a person who gave me a quote on running the exhaust on it, so that will probably be next. I've got to tidy up some things first. I've got to run the transmission coolant lines and the vacuum line from the carburetor to the modulator valve on the back of the transmission, so I can have all of that, and I've got to run the emergency brake cables up and have that done before I'm actually ready to do that. But that is something that will only take a week or two at most, and then I'm going to be taking it and get the exhaust put on it. Once I get back with the exhaust on it, I'm going to try to find the issue in the brakes. As I'm sure you're aware, I've got a problem with it losing pressure. I've either got a bad wheel cylinder or I've got air in the line that I just haven't gotten out yet, so I'm going to keep doing that. And I'm also going to start lining the interior with the acoustical mat that I used, the same stuff that I used on the Cobra inside to cut down on the heat and on the noise. Other than that, we're looking pretty good on the 32 actually. The wiring on both cars is complete, I'm happy to say. Well, with a few minor exceptions, I'm going to wire in the third brake light, but that is something I can't place until we get ready to do the interior. The air conditioning and everything is hooked up. Of course, it's not charged or anything because the car is not even running yet, but we will get to that as well. All the wiring on this car is done as well. All I've got to do is tie in one power wire into the tail light connection and then to a ground to hook up the license plate lights. So all of that is done. This car right here, once I get it back from the exhaust shop, I'm going to concentrate on trying to get it started for the first time. So that's going to be a very exciting time on that. Wiring on that, with the exception of the third brake light, is complete. Everything's dusty in here because I've been doing body work. I'm going to blow everything off and clean everything up. And I'm going to cover this one up with a car cover until I'm ready to take it to the exhaust shop. On my dad's 1999 regular cab short bed Lariat F-150 with the 5.4. We're still in the parts accumulating stage of this. I've got quite a bit of money to spend on it. I found sources to replace the dash top on it. I've got a place to get coils. I'm going to do the coils and the plugs on it, and I'm also going to have to replace the ABS system, this ABS pump right here, because this was the source of the leak that I had getting it home. So that's going to take some work. Once all of the tune-up is done and I've got all of the truck running right and the brakes fixed and everything else, then it's a matter of I'm going to buy new carpet for the truck, replace the carpet in it, clean up the interior, replace the dash. I'm going back and forth as to whether or not I want to go high-tech and put a nice radio in it that hooks up Bluetooth and everything else. This is eventually going to go to my daughter, so I'm going to talk to her, see if she wants something like that where she can drive it and use her GPS on it, or if we simply want to see if I can find a stock 1999 F-150 radio and put it back in stock. So that's it. The VW Bug, haven't touched it. It does still run. I've got it covered up and over there on the side. That is a project that will be done in the future. I've got plenty of time to get to that one, but the other three projects are going to take my attention until we get there. As you can see, I've been spending this morning with my wife, much to her disgust, because, you know, being in your garage outdoors, you have bugs that get in, and we found frankly, a very alarmingly large brown recluse spider that I had to eradicate. But she helped me pick up my tools and everything. I still got to clean my benches off and stuff like that, but I've got my tools picked up and put up. Got the floor cleaned up quite a bit where you can actually walk around here now. That way, once I am healed up from my stupidity injury, I will be able to get back on the cars in earnest and actually know where everything is. So that's an exciting time as well. But in the meantime, I may be posting shorts here and there over the next couple of weeks, but as far as long form videos go, I am at a standstill until I can actually get some work done and not have my finger fall off. I want to be sure that I don't get an infection on this because it's got a lot of loose skin, not to get too much into the weeds, but I pinched it really bad and removed some hide on it, so I want to be sure I keep it bandaged up clean and everything. And if you've ever worked in a garage, you know that keeping things clean is not the order of the day. So you do have to, I am going to have to be careful with that for for a week or two, I'm hoping. And once that's done, we'll be able to hit back again. I have also decided how I'm going to approach painting the Cobra. Many of the people on the Hurricane Cobra forum, which there's really some good helpful advice on there. Shout out to Kamal, shout out to Pete from Pete's Snakebite Kit, and Paul, of course, who's the administrator of that board, has been enormously helpful to me on this. But I've gone back and forth on whether or not I'm going to paint the body off or on the car. People have said that they've done it either way. Painting it on the car is advisable if you're going to be using some colors that are a little more difficult to match, like stuff with heavy metallics or candies or stuff like that. And if you're doing a solid, very generic color, painting it off the body and assembling everything or painting it off the chassis rather and assembling everything is of course good too. The downside to painting it with the body on is there's a lot more to tape off. You have to be very meticulous on that so you don't get overspray anywhere. What I have decided to do is once I get everything fitted, I get the doors cut and I start preliminary body work on those panels and get everything to where I'm satisfied enough to know that I'm ready to actually start prepping the body for paint, which is a long process in itself. What I've decided to do is I'm going to pull the body back off, put it on my body buck, and I'm going to jam it, meaning I'm going to paint all the door jams, all the jams around the hood, around the deck lid. I'm going to put all my weather stripping onto the chassis, onto the trunk tub and things of that nature. Jam it, get it ready to paint as far as that goes. Once it is jammed and I've got the inside of the doors painted, the inside of the deck lid painted, the inside of the hood painted, things like that, I'm going to bolt it all back together. I'm going to tape everything off and I'm going to paint the body on the car. Part of the reason for that is it's going to be a little bit easier to get to everything because I've got some blocks right here that actually came from Hurricane. That's what they used to use to paint their cars in the old Iowa location. Jake, before he left the company, sent those to me with my kit, and I'm going to basically use that and paint the body on the car. Also, the color that I've got, which I will reveal another date, is going to be a little bit more detailed than a standard gloss white or black or some other single stage paint that doesn't require a whole lot of attention to detail to get the match. This one's going to require a little bit of work on that, and I want to be sure I get it right, so I'm going to paint it all assembled. In the meantime, hit like and subscribe. I've got a lot more stuff coming, of course, eventually once I get all the skin back on my finger. I appreciate you guys joining me today. Be sure and stay tuned. I'll be posting some shorts. Look forward to hearing from you as well. Until then, stay tuned.